with the FBI combing through hours of recovered footage. Sources say there's a tape, one that might finally explain why Osiris's behavior changed so drastically and what really happened during those private vacations. Because if what's on that tape is even half as disturbing as insiders claim, this scandal is just getting started, and Diddy might not be the only one going down. And we can't forget Aaron Carter, who struggled with substance and mental health issues before his tragic death. According to those close to him, Aaron had attended several industry parties in his youth that left him deeply troubled.
I get back to the Sheraton Hotel at Universal over here. There's 4 FBI agents waiting for me in the hotel room. And my mom's there and she's like, tell them what happened. And I'm like, what do you mean tell them what happened? And I sit down with them and they all ask these super sexually exploited, you know, questions, back-sided questions. And I knew that at my age already. And I looked at all 4 of them and I said, are y'all crazy? I said, what you think I'm gonna do? Tell you that Michael did something bad so that we can sue him for money? That's what I told him. I was like, you're crazy. And I looked over at my mom and I was like, are you serious, Mom? I was like, what is going on here? Why are you letting this happen? And she goes, well, I think something happened, you know, I think something. I'm like, really? That man did nothing but be hospitable, kind, loving, giving, everything you could think of.
A former manager claimed Aaron had been introduced to circles he wasn't prepared for during his teen years. In the months before his passing, Aaron had reportedly begun opening up about traumatic experiences at Hollywood gatherings, though he never named Diddy specifically.
Only bad thing about a start is they burn up, say turn up, say turn up.
Do you regret ever getting involved?
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years old. Because when I did MTV Cribs, the day that I had to go show off that house, my mom and my dad told me, we're getting a divorce, but you still have to go do this. I had to go show off all the stuff my whole life that was going to be taken away from me.
Our friend Max Blumenthal, he went to talk to some members of the Republican Party about their thoughts on how Trump was handling it. I think the responses are pretty telling, but pretty expected.
Why did the Republicans block Representative Khanna's resolution to have a vote on releasing the Epstein files? And what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. This one's for you.
Yeah, I'm going to refer you to leadership on it. I mean, why? That's a great.
Wait, we got to pause it there for a second, because that's AOC. Do you guys remember that? Max, it was Max's video too. That was AOC's. Oh, what was it about? Oh, Venezuela, I think. He cornered her and asked her about her position on Venezuela and the attempted coup on Venezuela. And she literally said those exact words, I defer you to leadership. That just triggered me. Yes. That is exactly what AOC said. And it's funny because it was a Max video as well. Shout out to Max.
Good question for the speaker's team.
How would you have voted?
It's, again, a great question for the speaker's team.
So to release the Epstein files, would you have voted yes?
People want to know that we can trust what's happening. And I trust what President Trump is doing. I trust the direction that Mike Johnson is going.
What do you think about that resolution and how would you have voted?
We'll do an official statement from the office on Epstein files. Thank you.
What did you say? Sorry.
Our contact info for an official statement. Thank you.
On the Epstein file. You don't want to talk about the Epstein
file? We'll do
file.
an official statement from our office. Do you want our card or no?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, well, what do you think of Pam Bondi declaring that after she said there were files on her desk that they're not going to...
What I'm here to talk about today is Small Business Committee and the economy and how Main Street America is growing and getting bigger every single day. That's what I'm focused on today.
Just one quick question. Yeah. Do you trust the president's judgment on Jeffrey Epstein?
I have confidence in the president, confidence in his team, always have.
Trust the president. He's been truthful in the past. He's very transparent. So let's wait and see.
I trust President Trump to work with his team to disclose as much information as he possibly can without jeopardizing our national security or, harming kids or smearing people who are innocent. I think those are the confines. Otherwise, let's release as much as we can. I trust him to do it. I think a lot of people in New York knew this guy, and I think he was a bad guy. And I'm glad he's not like walking the earth terrorizing young people anymore.
CNN has obtained new information and text messages that appear to back up the sexual assault claims made last week by a male Republican strategist against a powerful and influential conservative. Matt Schlapp has denied the accusation. The strategist says that in the weeks before the election, Schlapp groped and fondled his groin during a car ride back from 2 area bars in Atlanta.
And like I said, I trust the president to work with his team to disclose everything. And it's not just this, it's a whole realm of things. There's a lot of us who've been victimized by the weaponized bureaucracy. A lot of my friends have been.
I shouldn't laugh. I can't help it though. Gallows humor gets me by. Yeah, so not surprising answers from the Republican Party. It's very rare that they ever actually, either party takes a stand against whoever it is. But there are some very few members of Congress, Ro Khanna, who I'm not a huge fan of, but okay. But Thomas Massie and others are trying to put some pressure on Trump, which I think, I don't really necessarily think that it's working, but I think it's, at least it's interesting to see that there are a significant amount of people who are genuinely upset by this and should be. Again, this is a child sex trafficking ring, allegedly. And I don't know why that's a controversial thing, that we should absolutely be doing everything that we can to expose anybody who is in any way affiliated with, related to, involved in any of that stuff in a child sex trafficking ring, especially if those are people in positions of power. We all know why we're not going to get that information. We all know why it's what it's being used for. But I do just think it's crazy that they can just out loud in your face call you stupid for caring about that and still expect you to support them. I think that's pretty wild. But I do think that, oh, hold on. I do think that it is, watching this is going to be, especially watching how it impacts the election cycle in 2028. That's going to be very interesting. And I think somebody I saw tweeted it out that JD Vance needs to start distancing himself, at least from the issue. I don't think he can at this point. I think he's well into it, especially now that he's out there defending Trump and telling people that they need to move on and all of that stuff. I think he's definitely, I don't know that he can weasel his way out of it at this point. So there's also this aspect of it. So Trump orders officials to release Epstein court documents after mounting pressure. So I think that this is just damage control. I doubt we ever actually see anything from this. I think that this is just a maintaining of the outrage currently. He's hoping if he flicks the crumbs of crumbs in your general direction, you'll pipe down. But he says, it says President Donald Trump says he has ordered the Justice Department to produce additional documents related to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Quote, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. It's unclear if Trump is authorizing the public release of these documents. Such action would typically require court approval. The U.S. president also said he would sue the Wall Street Journal over an article alleging that a quote-unquote body birthday greeting bearing Trump's name was sent to Epstein in 2003 before the late financier was charged with sex crimes. This is a crazy story. The letter, which the newspaper claims was sent on Epstein's 50th birthday, has been decried by Trump as quote-unquote fake. Of course, he would say that. Even if it's real, he would say that. In a post, Trump said that the newspaper and owner Rupert Murdoch, quote unquote, were warned directly that they would be sued if they printed the story, describing it as, quote, false, malicious, and defamatory, end quote. According to the Wall Street Journal, a letter bearing Trump's name, quote, contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy marker. Inside the outline of the naked woman was a typewritten note styled as an imaginary conversation between Trump and Epstein, written in the third person. Such a weird story. The letter, according to the Wall Street Journal, allegedly ends with the words, quote, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. And may every day be another wonderful secret, end quote. Trump said, these are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures. I don't know why that makes me laugh, but it's just a funny thing. According to the newspaper, the letter was part of a compilation of birthday greetings that was put together by Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell. Trump's directive to release more documents comes after days of sustained pressure from some of Trump's most loyal supporters demanding further disclosures in the Epstein case. Attorney General Pam Bondi posted minutes after the president saying, quote, "We are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts," end quote. While campaigning last year, Trump promised to release files relating to the disgraced financier. However, Bondi last week announced that the U.S. Justice Department did not believe Epstein had a so-called client list, and he doesn't. Let's just pause there. There is no client list. Now, is there information pertaining to relationships that Jeffrey Epstein had, people that he, of course there is, but there's no client list, I don't think, per se. I think that was really just like the little shiny object that they were kind of kicking around. What I do think is interesting is that Pam Bondi went on national television and proclaimed that the client list was on her desk. Ma'am, why would you do that if you don't have the list and there is no list? She was probably set up for that, but there's not a list. I don't think there's ever been a list necessarily. Obviously, we had the whatever they were, the address books or the little black books or whatever. But there's never going to be any substantive investigation into this. None of these people are ever going to be held accountable, which is wild. But that, at least that's, I can't imagine, unless there's some miracle in which we wrestle power away from these people, I don't know how we ever get accountability for this stuff. And we know what happened. I don't care how much gaslighting they want to do. Trump needs to just shut up. I don't know that he knows how, but come on, y'all. This is not some make-believe thing that we've all just manufactured in our heads collectively. There's a significant amount of evidence supporting the existence of a child sex trafficking ring that implicates people in extreme levels of positions of power. That's a thing. And it didn't go away, probably. It's probably still going on right now. Actually, I would be willing to bet that it is. Allegedly, don't come for me. But, I mean, that kind of stuff doesn't stop just because they have to use this as a storyline and a narrative. It's crazy, but and it's really disgusting that that's the world we live in, but that's the world we live in. That's what it is. It came after Bondi had touted she was set to announce major revelations about the case, including a lot of names. We didn't get any names, and a lot of flight logs. We didn't get any flight logs. A nod to those who traveled with the financier who visited his private islands where many of his reported crimes were said to have occurred. Her reversal prompted furious response from scores of Trump's most ardent supporters who have called for Bondi to resign. She would just be a fall guy after failing to produce a list, which Trump officials had previously claimed to have in their possession. Conservative commentator Charlie Kirk, who was critical of the administration's handling of the files in recent days, praised Trump's move. Quote, "This is massive. This is something that we've been talking about for quite some time and really a power to the grassroots," he said. Charlie Kirk is definitely playing his role there. And then this is JD Vance's response to the story about the weird, love letter. I don't know what that was. A birthday, I guess. I don't know what that was. But JD Vance says, "Forgive my language, but this story is complete and utter bullshit. The Wall Street Journal should be ashamed for publishing it. Where is this letter? Would you be shocked to learn they never showed it to us before publishing it? Does anyone honestly believe this sounds like Donald Trump?" Actually, yes. It may be fake, but I could 100% see Donald Trump writing something creepy like that. Yes, he is notably creepy and has been his entire existence. All of his public life, he's been kind of creepy, talking about dating his daughter, talking about sneaking backstage at beauty pageants to see girls undressed. And I mean, he's always been hanging out with Rudy Giuliani while Rudy Giuliani's in drag. I don't know. He's just, yes, I absolutely could see Donald Trump writing a letter of that nature. Did he? I don't know for sure. It certainly could be fake. That's definitely a possibility. It could be fake. This could be fake news. They could be using it to try to create a response. Absolutely. No question about it. Obviously, Donald Trump is pissed. He says the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch personally were warned directly by President Donald J. Trump that the supposed letter they printed by President Trump to Epstein was a fake, and if they print it, they will be sued. Mr. Murdoch stated that he would take care of it, but obviously did not have the power to do so. The editor of the Wall Street Journal, Emma Tucker, was told directly by Caroline Leavitt and by President Trump that the letter was a fake, but Emma Tucker didn't want to hear it. Instead, they are going with a false, malicious, and defamatory story anyway. President Trump will be suing the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, and Mr. Murdoch shortly. I'm interested to see if he actually does. The press has to learn to be truthful and not rely on sources that probably don't even exist. President Trump has already beaten George Stephanopoulos, ABC, 60 Minutes, CBS, and others, and looks forward to suing and holding accountable the once great Wall Street Journal. It has truly turned out to be a disgusting and filthy rag. I like that he capitalized that. It's cute. He's a weird typer. And writing defamatory lies like this shows their desperation to remain relevant. If there were any truth at all on the Epstein hoax as it pertains to President Trump, this information would have been revealed by Comey, Brennan, Crooked Hillary, and other radical left lunatics years ago. It certainly would not have sat in a file waiting for Trump to have won 3 elections. This is yet another example of fake news. So I've heard that argument a lot. If Trump was implicated in the Epstein files, the Democrats would have released it ages ago just to get him. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't, because they're all implicated. This is not a partisan issue. There are Democrats in those files and on those, not the client list, but were clients, and there are Republicans. They're both involved. This is not a Republican or a Democrat thing. And if Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton went after Donald Trump with the information, then they have to risk Bill Clinton being exposed, allegedly. Don't come for me. So yeah, I mean, it's the idea that the Democrats would have absolutely released it so that they could take down. They invented Donald Trump. It was Bill Clinton who encouraged Donald Trump to run for president. It was Hillary Clinton who used her minions in the media to present him as the Pied Piper candidate. Thank you, WikiLeaks. She hand selected her own opponent. I mean, this is the idea. And again, it's a very frustrating thing, but the idea that there's 2 separate parties is just smoke and mirrors, y'all. It's not real life. They are owned and operated by the exact same people. They serve the same agenda. The only difference, and this is just my opinion, the only difference between the 2 parties is the demographics to which they pander to. That's it. On War and Wall Street, it's one party. All the other stuff is used to keep you guys fighting amongst yourself, or to keep us fighting amongst ourselves. That's all that is. So this is from Daniel Goldman. Trump and Bondi are trying to gaslight you into believing they're turning over the Epstein files. Don't believe them. Grand jury testimony won't include anything relating to any other people involved in the sex trafficking ring. We deserve the truth. Release all the files. We're never getting, we still don't have the JFK files, y'all. We still don't have that. We're not getting the Epstein files. We're not getting any information on Epstein. Ron Wyden tweeted out, big news from my investigators on Epstein's sex trafficking operation. The Trump administration has an Epstein file detailing 4,725 wire transfers and almost $1.1 billion flowing through just one of his banks, hundreds of millions more through others. FBI agents were told to flag any Epstein records that mention Trump, Senator Durbin says. So now there's this back and forth between the 2 parties over who's most guilty of terrible crimes against children. So from CNBC, FBI agents assigned to review files in the criminal case against Jeffrey Epstein were instructed to flag any documents that mention President Donald Trump, Senator Richard Durbin said. Durbin asked the Justice Department and FBI to explain what his office called apparent discrepancies regarding handling of the Epstein files and findings from a Justice Department memo. Trump has called on supporters to drop their pursuit of the release of the files, saying the controversy of their withholding by Attorney General Pam Bondi is a hoax. That's wild to say out loud. A hoax. The Epstein case. So he was just arrested and thrown in jail for nothing. And Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for what exactly? This is just a wild switch up. I really do have whiplash from this insane change of position, seemingly overnight. It is kind of crazy. And I think MAGA's just really had it with the nonsense. And I think it would be different if it weren't so, it's everything. It's everything. It's all of Trump's stuff. I mean, ending the Ukraine war in 24 hours, didn't get that. There's been no accountability on COVID. You're not getting that. I mean, shoot, but shouldn't be surprising. This is the lock her up guy in 2015, 2016. And then as soon as he was president, it's like, oh no, he did an Obama. We got to look forward. We can't look back. We got to look forward. I mean, this is the game that they play, and just constantly people buy into it. Over and over. They don't care. None of them care about you. They don't serve you in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Okay. Do I have anything else on Trump here? Oh, I guess we could listen to, I don't even know if I want to subject you guys to that. Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi had thoughts on the Epstein files. It's very brief. We'll just play it.
Jeffrey Epstein or Alcatraz, it's all off the subject of what they're doing with this budget that is harmful to the kitchen table, meeting the kitchen table needs of the American people.
I want to make sure I understand what you mean when you say distraction. Do you think that Pam Bondi going to Alcatraz is meant potentially as a distraction from Epstein, which has not gone over well at all with the president's base?
No, I think they're both distractions.
They're both distractions. She's not wrong necessarily. Everything's a distraction, really. But yeah, this is going to turn into a kind of a Russiagate situation where the two parties banter back and forth, or yeah, I mean, this is going to be one of those, the kind of tug of war thing, back and forth. They're going to fight back and forth about this for the next little bit, keep everybody fired up and emotional and distracted about it. And we're never going to get any actual information about Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, we might get some, again, like the grand jury stuff, which will show absolutely nothing. There will be absolutely nothing of significance in there. We might get that stuff, but we're not going to, there's never going to be any account. There's no arrests. There's not going to be any arrests. I mean, that's just reality. And I feel kind of bad for MAGA. Because I think we've all been at a point where we believed, right? Where like a lot of people believed in Bernie. A lot of people believed in Obama. MAGA really believed in Trump. And it turns out he's just like the rest of them. And they're struggling to come to terms with that. And really, a lot of Bernie supporters still haven't come to terms with that. A lot of Obama supporters still haven't come to terms with that. But I vacillate between wanting to mock them. And also like feeling bad for them, because I get it. I think people are very desperate right now, and they want to think that somebody's coming to save us, but nobody's coming to save us. They want to think that it's as simple as like going and voting and it'll fix it, and it's just not that simple. So I get it, but we're really, I mean, it's how many times do we have to go through this? How many times did your government get to lie to you before your sense of skepticism kicks in? I mean, I'm genuinely curious for some people, because they just keep you on this hamster wheel over and over. And in 2028, a lot of the people who are mad at Donald Trump and JD Vance are just going to vote for whoever Elon Musk runs in the America Party. They're just going to get roped in by the next demagogue. It's an unfortunate cycle that we just can't seem to break out of. I'm not sure we ever will. But yeah, the Epstein stuff is not a hoax, guys. It's not a hoax. It's a real thing that happened. You should care about it. The fact that children are being victimized in that way, and the idea that that has now been turned into like a political football. Ugh. Depressing stuff, but it's not a hoax. You should care. Don't care as so much that you let it like eat away at you, because it's very dark stuff, and we're never going to see accountability. I mean, really, we're just not. At least I can't ever see that happening unless some miracle happens where we manage to wrestle power away. But they're not going to arrest each other. They're just not. Okay. A couple more quick stories. Thank you for hanging in there with me. I'm sorry I'm a little out of it today. I really feel bad. Came on really suddenly. So I wanted to, the next thing that I brought you, and if you're just tuning in, this is the Jimmy Dore Show. I am not Jimmy Dore. I am your guest host, Misty Winston. Jimmy's out and about making people laugh across the countries in Jersey and Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Tickets and stuff, jimmydore.com. Go check that out. I love a Jimmy Dore show. I think he's coming back around my neck of the woods fairly soon, and I need to go. I need to go. It's good for the soul.